NEXUS is an EU-funded project striving to make inclusivity a reality in the world of research and innovation. The project focuses on developing inclusive gender equality plans that span both in intersectional and intersectoral dimensions in 9 universities and in research organizations across Europe.
Hello, my name is Albena Yarcheva. I work in Sofia University. The university is the national coordinator for the European Network EURACCESS for Bulgaria. Sofia University is also a partner in the NEXUS project. In today's episode, we are honored to be joined by Associate Professor Valentina Mitkova from Sofia University. She is leading the master's program MATILDA for a history of women and gender.
Hello, I'm glad to participate in this podcast. My name is Valentina Mitkova, and as it has been mentioned, I'm Associate Professor at Sofia University, the Faculty of Philosophy. My main disciplines are in the field of history of book and reading, but apart from this, I have serious interests in the field of history of women and gender.
So, Professor Mitkova, could you please introduce the Matilda Master's Program and what makes it unique among gender studies and history programs?
In partnership with 5 European universities, the Faculty of Philosophy of Sofia University has been offering since 2008 the first joint European interdisciplinary master's program in the history of women and gender, or it is called Matilda. It is intended for students who wish to gain expert knowledge and international expert experience in the field of historical and social studies of gender relations, and also to participate in international exchange. And this program promotes integral perspectives to situate the processes which are studied in a broader context. It has comparative and transhistorical focus, and it aims to examine in a historical perspective the differences and similarities related to gender relations in European cultures and societies, to explore the role of gender in European history, also in the formation of individual and collective identities. And it also aims to question the inequalities or hierarchies related to gender relations in different social contexts.
Thank you. How is the Matilda program as part of a broader European network enhance students' learning experience?
So the curriculum of Matilda is developed in accordance with the principles of the Bologna Declaration. It is coordinated between 5 partner universities to ensure optimal opportunities for student mobility. The consortium of the program Matilda includes Université Lumière Lyon in France. This university is the coordinator of the program. University of Vienna in Austria, Sofia University St. Clement Ohridsky in Bulgaria, the Central European University, which is now located in Vienna, Austria again, University of Bochum in Germany, and the University of Padua in Italy. Each of the partner universities offers courses on key issues in the social studies of gender and history of women and gender, maintaining the historical perspective, as I have mentioned. This is the leading perspective, with a strong emphasis on the social, cultural, and historical point of view. The interdisciplinary courses that we offer attract material and methodological innovations from different disciplines such as philosophy, sociology, anthropology, literary theory, and others. The students of the master's program study for at least one semester at one of the partner universities in Vienna, Lyon, Padua, or Bochum. This exchange is financed under the Erasmus program, and also they participate in international intensive program after the second semester, which is financed by the European Union and which is held during the summer in a different country. All courses of the program at Sofia University in particular are offered in English, which attracts many foreign students studying in the country under the Erasmus Student Mobility Program. They are attracted to our classes each semester. And this international environment is an additional advantage for students in the MATILDA program, which stimulates and enriches through the opportunities for comparative perspective, intercultural dialogue, the educational process as a whole.
This is very interesting. What are some core themes and topics covered in the MATILDA curriculum?
The curriculum of MATILDA includes a small core of compulsory courses, which are designed to introduce basic concepts, approaches, and methods of women's and gender history, and also a rich set of elective courses, which allows students to individualize their studies and profile them in accordance with their own specific interests. The elective courses create an optimal balance between a broader perspective open to social and historical studies of gender relations and the necessary minimum of knowledge in some fundamental problem areas of the field. For example, our current curriculum includes courses offering a different perspective on the history of women and gender, and they are taught by established professors from Sofia University, as well as from other higher education institutions in the country, and also by researchers from the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. To illustrate the multifaceted and interdisciplinary nature of the program, we can mention some of the disciplines which are taught in MATILDA. For example, we have courses such as methodological problems of women's and gender history, gender and state socialism, gender hierarchies in the field of intellectual activity, women writers and the literary canon, oral history and biographical studies, history of emotions and gender, women's movements and feminisms from the 19th and the 20th centuries in USA, Western and Eastern Europe. We have gender and popular culture in a comparative perspective between Eastern Europe and the West. We have masculinity and politics in modern Bulgaria from 1878 till 1944, and many others.
Thank you. How is interdisciplinarity reflected in the way gender and history are taught in this program?
The master's program develops perspectives that are meant to overstep or to transcend local, regional, and national histories and situates these histories and European history as a whole in a broader global context. With its focus on comparative and transnational history, this master's program in women's and gender history aims to examine gender-related differences and similarities in European cultures and societies in a historical perspective, and also to explore the role of gender in shaping of European history, as well as to question, as we've already mentioned, gender-related inequalities.
And how does the program prepare students for careers in academia, education, NGOs, or policy work?
So maybe we could answer this question by focusing on the professional competencies that our students obtain by graduating this program. So the professional skills that MATILDA seeks to develop in its students are the acquisition of knowledge about the historicity of gender norms, roles and relations, also skills for analyzing historical and contemporary social and cultural processes in a local and above national context, improvement of adequate methodological skills, cultivation of awareness of the diversity of historical means, adoption of a critical approach to documents and sources, and awareness that interests, categories, and problems change over time and in different political, social, and geographical contexts. In addition to the above, the program also seeks to develop in young people skills for participation in international scholarly discussions, in mainstream history, in the field of women's and gender history, and in equality policies, and to cultivate in them an understanding of cultural differences and similarities and their historical and social preconditions and context. This is the already mentioned comparative historical perspective. This first European Master's Program in Women's and Gender History prepares its participants for work in schools as PR specialists and advisors in non-governmental organizations. For example, some of the founders and the leading figures of the Bulgarian Fund for Women, this is a very active contemporary Bulgarian organization, are graduates from the MATILDA program. Also to prepare them to work as journalists, specialists in museums, libraries, archives, exhibitions, and other places of memory. The professional qualification that successfully graduated students receive is an expert in women's and gender history. This qualification is certified by a diploma which is issued by the partner universities of the program.
Would you also tell us why is it important to study women's and gender history today?
Well, to answer this question, I will quote the opinion of one of the leading researchers in the field of women's and gender history. This is the German historian Gisela Bock, who insists that just as women's history must be understood and participated as an integral part of history as a whole cannot be written and understood without including the history of women and gender relations in it. Even today, despite the long-standing efforts of scholars in this field, the dominant historical narratives still do not treat women and men equally. And today, this fact is among the main reasons that motivate historians to create archives for history and to seek ways to develop and institutionalize women's and gender history. One of the central missions of this research discipline is to construct a full-fledged picture of past human experiences, past human representations, and to enable the voices of women which were long marginalized in public and scholarly attention to be heard and valued. Very often, the history of women and gender is defined with the history of feminism, but feminism is only one possible direction for studying the past of women, and women's history cannot be limited to the narrow framework of feminist ideology and movement in the modern era. The history of women and gender is interested in many different things, in many different directions. For example, the relationships, communities, institutions, and events in which only women are or have been represented in history. For example, women's organizations, women's societies, associations, also relationships, communities, institutions in which women were the majority. For example, charity work and others. Relationships, communities, institutions, and events in which women and men participated equally. the family structure, sexual relations, ethnic and religious minorities. Also, others in which women have been a minority compared to men back in history. The paid professional activity during most of historical development, for example, and also those from which women were completely absent. For example, the political representation during the 19th century and most of the 20th centuries. The history of women accepts the contradictions, the ambiguities, and tensions in historical phenomenon as a whole, and questions all stereotypes as the basis of its methodology. The originality of this research field comes from the specificity of the questions that it asks and tries to answer, and from the emphasis it places, from the specific perspective from which it tries to rethink the past of both women and men. Not only in universities, but also in schools, history of women and men and the relationship between them should be studied, since what can be achieved through education and training upbringing is extremely important in order to change modern male world, androcentric world, and to overcome patriarchal attitudes and gender stereotypes that create and tolerate gender hierarchies in various social and life sectors. For this purpose, the collective efforts of many people are needed: educators, teachers, parents, who can gradually educate and change society by forming a more egalitarian, gender-sensitive social ethos. I will end again with a quote from another significant and contributing historian, Susan Stanford Friedman, who said the following: "The loss of collective memories of a vast number of stories about the past has contributed greatly to the continued subordination of women. The relentless cumulative construction of broadly defined histories of women, including history of feminism, is an important component for any resistance and change." Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to speak with Professor Mitkova and learn more about the MATILDA program's mission to advance gender-sensitive historical research and education. As we've heard today, initiatives like this are vital for building inclusive academic spaces. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for our next podcast episodes.